gently tap this morning. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Wow, that's pretty good there. Okay. All righty. It's October the 22nd, regular meeting, Liberty County Commissioners Court. It's about 9:03 a.m. Is that about right, Lee?
Let's just 9:05.
9:05? Okay. We'll call it 9:05. And let the record show that Commissioner Karbowski's with us, Commissioner Arthur, Commissioner Whitmire is with us today. Commissioner Wilson had a medical appointment this morning, so he's going to be out. Our prayers for him especially. We do have business for the court, and we have a quorum established. If y'all would all rise, Lee, if you'd lead us in the pledges to the flags,
Yes,
Sheriff will lead us in a invocation.
Please face the American flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please face the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Pray, please. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I want to thank you for this day. Thank you for the sun. Thank you for the moon. Thank you, Lord, for all the things that you do for us, Lord. And Lord, many times we come to you just asking for things, but Lord, I just want to thank you for all the blessings that you give us, Lord. And we're truly a blessed nation. We're a blessed county, Lord. And I just ask that you be with the judge and commissioners as we go through this commissioner's court today, Lord. Be with them. Give them the wisdom that they request. And Lord, let us do the things necessary to make Liberty County the best county in the state, Lord. And Lord, please forgive us when we fall short. I know there's a lot of times, Lord, that we have goals set to do things and we stumble, Lord. Let's just have the strength to get back up and dust ourselves off and take another step to do the things that you would have us do. Lord, I'm mindful of those that are sick and struggle with health issues. I'd like to bring up Commissioner Wilson. I ask that you be with him and comfort him, Lord. Comfort all those that are struggling, Lord.
Amen.
Especially, Lord, those that are having mental issues. It seemed last night was a tough night for the sheriff's office last night, dealing with attempted suicides and mental issues, Lord. And I just ask that you be with those people. Let them know that there are people that care. They know that you care, Lord, and just comfort them in a way that only you can. If there's something we can do to encourage them or encourage anybody to build them up and help their self-esteem, and let us do that, Lord. Lord, again, forgive us when we fall short. In your son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Sheriff. I don't believe we have any notices or proclamations this morning, but I'm sure I don't need to remind y'all that voting has started. And Ms. Chambers, you had a pretty good banner day yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, sir. We had over 3,095 people voted countywide. That's 5.7% of our registered voters in one day.
Wow.
It was those poor poll workers. They worked so hard yesterday, but they took care of it. And for the most part, we kept the lines moving and took care of our curbside. So if that's an indication of where we're going, I think we've got a record vote coming with this election, but that's good. We like seeing that. I'd love to see all 50,000 voters get out and vote. But we will have early voting the rest of the week from 9 to 6. Beginning on Saturday at 7 to 7. Sunday is 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then all of next week is 7 to 7. And of course, election day is 7 to 7. And we have 22 locations across the county on election day. For early voting, we have the 5 main locations, Dayton, Liberty, Cleveland, Santa Fe, and Hardin City Hall. So we've had some issues with lines in Dayton. But I would tell the Dayton people, if it looks like it's a long line, you can always come to Liberty. The lines have not been bad here. And the people in Cleveland, I apologize profusely. We did not ask for that back room and that small of a space, but we're trying real hard to make it accommodating, and we're doing the best we can. And if we can get a larger space, we're working on it. So that's the best. I just apologize for the inconvenience.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Good job for everybody.
Yeah, they're working hard.
They are. I had no issues yesterday. About 4 o'clock, I voted in Dayton, and it was fast,
Yeah,
very
that's
fast.
good. We have extra check-ins in Dayton, Liberty, and Cleveland to help accommodate the lines, and I think that's working out very well. And everyone's done their work, done their training, they know what to do, and, knock on wood, so far so good, so.
Good deal.
Hope it keeps going this way.
Now, for those of y'all that don't like to early vote, I'll just give little words of wisdom here. Today is today, and you're not promised tomorrow. So if you can get that opportunity, go vote today. Don't put it off. Because next thing you know, you're going to wake up and it's going to be election day and you haven't gone yet. And it will be somewhat of an inconvenience because lines will even be longer. So there's nothing wrong with early voting. It's a experience that we've all been blessed to have that opportunity. So please do consider that. Okay.
Well, and we're being gifted with beautiful weather for this. I mean, no rain, bad weather at this point. I don't know what's going to happen on November 5th, but at least the weather outlook for the early voting period looks really good. So yes, it's a good time to go get your vote in.
Good deal. All right, let's move on to public comment. And I have two folks that have signed up today. Heather Kelly, if you're here, please come up. And as you've probably been explained to you, Heather, you get 3 minutes,
Yes,
okay? And we can't respond,
Yes, sir.
but we can sure listen. So
Yes, sir.
you're more than welcome to give us what your thoughts are.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. I stand before you both as a concerned citizen and a representative of many and others in our community, particularly in Dayton and Liberty County areas outside of the city limits, including Kennewick and surrounding neighborhoods. I am here to address a deeply concerning, troubling issue, the lack of adequate patrol and support for victims of theft and criminal activity in our community. Over the past few months, actually years, and especially after the break-in at my own property in West Woodland Hills subdivision last week. The gravity of the situation has become undeniable. The frequency of repeat offenders in our area has become out of control. As our area population grows to continue, this problem will also get only worse. These individuals are often caught on surveillance cameras engaging in the same unlawful activities over and over again. In the past week and a half, I have been contacted by numerous victims in my neighborhood and the 2 adjoining neighborhoods through social media, neighborhood watch groups, and other platforms. We share the same frustrations. Either no one responds to investigate the crimes against us, or when someone does, meaningful steps like fingerprinting are not taken. Despite providing names, video footage, and physical evidence, we are left dealing with the same offenders with no action. I have received messages from several residents in Woodland Hills. One resident has camera footage of a thief stealing welding leads from their home. Another resident chased a suspect who later dropped the backpack containing a scrapyard receipt, clearly identifying who the thief was. A third resident whose home backed up to the pipeline has been hit several times. Numerous items were taken in their child's wagon. In the incident on my property, the perpetrators were very bold and had obviously been the same ones that freely walk up and down our streets, having their buddies drive their cars slowly, scoping them out, as they not only stole almost $10,000 in possessions from my daughter's tiny room on my property, they had the boldness to smoke marijuana and even left a joint behind that they dropped that was given for DNA evidence. I don't even know if this will be taken seriously or will the DNA even be done. They completely ransacked and destroyed her possessions, stealing other items on our property like sewer hoses from our RV. We have video footage of one of the thieves taking some of my daughter's belongings down into DLE. This has been reported, however, not investigated. We have also offered a cash reward for recovery of my daughter's camera, and names have been given of known thieves that were certain that breached our property line. The same names that have come up over and over again, including in thefts in town, stealing over $35,000 from a deceased man's bank account, his gun safe, and multiple guns, in which the said gun safe is sitting on the side of the road down in DLE. In that case, text messages with the female suspect's name, admittance of having the deceased debit card was given to law enforcement, still no arrests have been made or possessions recovered, in which she is one of the same named suspects who breached my property line and many others. It is known that 4 suspects were on my property, 3 males and 1 female. Adding to this, another resident reported that his trailer, 4-wheeler, and other belongings were stolen. The perpetrator was pulled over on FM 1008 for a busted taillight, but was let go. Despite the victim having video surveillance, no arrests were made. No attempts to track or recover the stolen items, and no actions were taken. This same resident's neighbor had her property also broke into and had video surveillance of the perpetrators, but despite waiting for over 3 hours from someone for the sheriff's department to show up to take a report or collect the videos, this was never done. This is simply unacceptable. Our deputies are spread too thin, and the current state of law enforcement in our area is allowing criminals to get away with their activities unchecked. They know they can continue without consequence, and we can't allow this to continue. Our community deserves better. We deserve to feel safe in our homes and be able to go to work without worrying about our property. We need to know that law enforcement will take our concerns seriously and work to bring these criminals to justice. I am asking today if the Commissioner's Court will take immediate action. We need increased patrol support, a dedicated task force to address the rising theft and drug activity, which has also gotten out of control with meth labs known in our areas, and more resources for our Sheriff's Department to invest these crimes efficiently and effectively. These offenders need to be arrested and given a jail sentence that matches the severity of their repeat crimes, not a hand slap and they get right back out. All of these perpetrators have extensive criminal track records. We cannot live in fear any longer. Something must be done to stop this now. Thank you for your time, your commitment for ensuring that the safety of all the Liberty County residents is handled.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Stephanie Kelly. Morning, Miss Kelly. How are you this?
Morning. How are you?
All righty. Sometimes we go over 3 minutes, but that's okay because we do want to hear you. So,
Yes, sir.
okay.
You should. Good morning. I was here today to share something deeply troubling, something that no one should ever have to go through. Recently, I was robbed in the broad daylight. My privacy, my sense of security, and my peace of mind were all violated. What makes this more alarming is that happened on my own property, a place where I should feel the safest, behind a 6-foot fence meant for security. But the reality is, that fence, those boundaries, didn't stop someone from watching me, invading my space, and taking what wasn't theirs. These thieves watched me enough to get my routine down, but they were so comfortable to smoke weed in my home. It is a disturbing feeling knowing that even with precautions in place, I am still vulnerable. Among the things that were taken was my camera, which had pictures of me and my family on it, which I really wanted back, because those memories I will never get back. I take pictures to help me remember the important things, because I have a failing memory caused by epilepsy. The sense of being watched lingers. I no longer feel safe where I live. It's not just the stolen items, it's a stolen sense of security. I can't sleep peacefully, I can't relax, and I can't help but wonder if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. We all deserve to feel safe in our own homes. No one should have to live in fear of being watched, violated, or having my sanctuary attention a source of anxiety. The stolen sense of security and anxiety I have experienced also caused me to have multiple seizures, which makes me more vulnerable. I hope sharing my experience can raise awareness about how critical it is to protect our communities and ensure the safety measures are not just in place, but actually effective. Especially since I was told that taking fingerprints was a complete waste of time when the prints were clearly visible. My family and I have completed our own investigation into this incident and have informants that have confirmed who they were, and we know they are all known felons with multiple counts of the same crimes. But they never get anything more than a slap on the wrist. I would ask that the sheriff's office take force, get involved in the crime ring that inhabits down in the DOE, the River Bottom, and the Plaza once and for all. Thank you for your time.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Number 6, declare conflicts of interest. Does anyone have any conflicts at this time with any of the agenda items?
I don't think so.
Hearing none, we'll move forward. Next item is consent agenda. Do we have any add-ons today? Dwayne, Kim?
I do.
Okay.
Eric Castillo, we have the payoff for him, and we just need to correct the date on that. He resigned from the sheriff's department on October 9th and not September 9th, so that's just a date correction there. And we have a correction to Ramiro Lozano's payoff. The grand total will actually be $664.13 instead of the $469.87 that's on the document report today. And then John Zapata, with Constable Precinct 5 will receive $5,400 per year in certificate pay, and we will backdate that to the October 15th payroll, so we'll catch him up on.
Okay. All right, we have,
Joanne, you got anything? I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda with the corrections and additions that Kim made.
Second.
motion from Greg, second from Bruce to approve the consent agenda with the additions as noted. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank y'all. Let's move on to the regular agenda, 8, number 1. Consideration and possible action approving the agreement regarding Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson LLP as being fully qualified as special counsel, perform all legal services necessary to collect unpaid delinquent ad valorem taxes as provided in section 6.30 of the Texas Tax Code. Come on up here and visit with us.
Yes,
Yeah.
good morning, Judge. Good morning, esteemed,
Yeah.
commissioners. and-
So this microphone right here works best. And
Excuse me.
Make it turn it on.
there you go.
There you go.
And tell everybody who you are so the
Yes,
whole
thank
world
you
will
so
know
much, Judge.
Okay.
And good morning, Liberty County community here today and staff as well. As many of you may know, my name is Derek Mendoza. I am a partner at the law firm of Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson. I'm here today with my staff members, Kathy Frige and Veronica Marin. We've been serving the county now in delinquent property taxes for some years, since about 2020. And I guess we're here today for the renewal of our contract. Again, let me start by saying that it's been such a pleasure to be here. We're very thankful for this opportunity. We've been thankful. We've worked very hard for the county, and we hope to continue to do so and serve the community as well. I'm here to answer any questions about our agreement or services if you have any.
Catherine, we have anything we need to be cognizant of other than what we already pretty much understand?
No, everything seems pretty straightforward in the agreement itself. You all are familiar with the terms and the services that have been provided by Linebarger in the past.
Mr. Mendoza, how long have y'all been in business?
We've been in business for actually almost 50 years now. So we're the largest law firm that does delinquent property taxes in the nation. But again, we opened and we'll be moving into a new office closer to the courthouse. And we look forward to getting involved in the community here as well. We've been doing so.
You could say you're fully qualified.
Yes, we're fully qualified. Thank you so much for leading me into that. No, yes, we're fully qualified. We have a lot of experience. We have a lot of resources as well that obviously will be made available to the county. We are so appreciative of this ability and this contract. I can't tell you that enough.
Court have any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Bruce, second from Greg to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Number 8.2 is consider possible action to approve an agreement for tax collection services with Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson LLP after having provided adequate notice as required by section 2254.1036 of the Texas Government Code and authorizing the county judge to execute said agreement. And that's pretty much what the first part was. This is leading up to the second part. We have to have those notices.
We approve.
Motion from Greg, second from Bruce. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. And thank you, Derek.
Thank you, Judge.
Number 8.3, consider and approve resolution of the Indigent Defense Grant Program under the Texas Government Code 79.037 and Texas Administrative Code Chapter 173. This grant program will assist the county in the implementation and the improvement of the indigent criminal defense services in this county. Catherine, you have anything you want to add to it? It's pretty explanatory, but
This is an agreement that we ask the court to approve every year.
Right.
This assists in the event that, thank you. This assists the county in the event that there are, let's say, capital crimes committed in our community and the defendant is indigent. This allows for the county, this is essentially a pool that we participate in, and it allows that defendant to receive indigent services.
okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Bruce, second from David. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nay. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Catherine. Number 8.4, consider and approve Texas Department of Transportation's request for permission to enter property listed through the Liberty County Appraisal District as property ID number 64892. It's on Highway 90, or US 90. TxDOT proposes to make improvements to US Highway 90 and will make every effort to repair, restore any property damage as a result of activities conducted upon the property.
Does anybody know where this property is? I've put this ID number in and cannot come up with anything from CAD.
It, no. I'm thinking it's probably going to be over on the east side of Liberty, back over toward Raywood, Ames, and Devils.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. That's why I looked on CAD with this property ID and found nothing, but I'm sure that's make a motion to approve.
Motion from Bruce,
I'll second.
second from Greg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye.
I'll reach out to TxDOT and find out where it's at.
Well, as y'all know, TxDOT builds the roads and maintains the roads. And even though it is a federal portion of the federal highway system, like US 90, that's a United States highway, it still is taken care of, constructed and taken care of through maintenance by TxDOT. And they're paid by the federal government to do so. So that's why sometimes you're going to see this happen. And my anticipation in the near future, we're going to see a whole lot more of it because I-10 is full and US 90 is not. Okay. Number 8.5, consider and approve interlocal cooperation contract failure to appear program between the Department of Public Safety and the state of Texas and Liberty County, Texas. Catherine, you have anything you want to add on this one?
I know I can explain to the court what failure to appears are. This is something that occurs when, most specifically, we see in our justice courts, if a defendant who is issued a citation or is charged with a criminal offense fails to show up to their appearance date. And the justice courts issue what's called a failure to appear. There are certain procedures under law that go with that. As far as the contract, I don't believe I have reviewed that contract, so I can't speak to the terms specifically.
What's the court's pleasure?
We approve.
Motion from Greg, here's a second.
Second.
Second from Bruce. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Yeah.
Aye.
Thank you.
Just making sure.
Boys. Good morning. And that motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 86, from Commissioner Arthur, over in Precinct 2. Consider and approve an exception to the burn ban for John Barnhart. I figure there's going to be a little discussion on this, so y'all feel free to ask questions and discuss.
Yeah, I put it on here. I feel comfortable that he will, the way he's handling his business out there would be good, but I'm a little bit nervous about it with as dry as it is.
It's too dry to be burnt.
And, I just really couldn't,
Yeah, I was
recommend approving it
I was
right now.
under the assumption that it was a pit burn, but these are in 4 wind rolls, and I'm like you, the wind
Yeah,
dry as it is, the wind kicks up, it can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And we've had some pretty,
Judge, if I may,
Yes, ma'am.
if you look at y'all's order to for the burn ban and to extend the burn ban, it cites a portion of the law in regards to exceptions for a burn ban. And so the only exceptions to a burn ban that are permitted are for public health and safety. So firefighter training would qualify, public utility, natural gas pipelines, or mining operations, or planting and harvesting of agricultural crops. So if this exception does not fall into one of those 3 categories, I would recommend not approving.
okay.
make a motion not to approve the burn ban.
Second.
Motion from Bruce, second from Greg to not approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, that motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 87 from Gospel Hartness up in Precinct 6. Consider approve the attached interlocal agreement with the Texas State University to perform controlled buys of tobacco products by minors in the Liberty County to ensure compliance with applicable laws. Kathy, you have anything you want to add to that, or?
No, Your Honor, I believe this is an agreement that Constable Harkness applies for and asks the court for approval on every year.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from David, second from Greg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 88 is consider and approve Liberty County Amendment Number 6, 2024 new jail. This amendment will attach to the base contract. The fee will be a fixed sum of $100,000. And what this is all about is consideration of the architectural services and their contract, as they've already, when we hired this architectural firm, it was to build a sheriff's office, a jail, and then we had the opportunity to add a northwest annex. So we extended the contract in that regard. So now we're at the point to where we fall back to where we once were to build the sheriff's department and the jail. Well, we've already built the sheriff's department, and we built it first because of the expected cost. So now we are to the point where we need to build a jail. I can't stress that enough because if you ever want to go to Austin with me to participate, and the inquisition of the Commission on Jail Standards, please by all means ride with me, because we're at that point to where we need to make some movement here. And we already have an architect that's picked out. They've been adequately vetted, in my opinion. They built the jail for Walker County. They're building the jail right now for Midland County, which is comparable to what our size is. And my consideration is that we can go ahead and get moving forward and prove up that we're ready to at least get the planning stage done, get all the considerations for the architectural programming, the scope of the project, and then move forward. So if anyone has any other.
Yeah, I think when we did all this for the sheriff's department and the jail, probably none of us up here realized that we was fixing to spend $170 million of the taxpayers' hard-earned money. At that time, we did not go out for qualifications, on which states in section 2254.004 that contract for professional services of architect, engineer, surveyors, says a government entity shall, it doesn't say we may, but shall first select the most highly qualified provider of these services on the basis of demonstrating competency and qualifications. I would like that if we take this time to go out for RFQs to see these qualifications for transparency reasons, especially after our incident with the people we have hired in the past that was not qualified to do the job. I'm not saying this gentleman is not qualified, just saying that I would really like this court to consider going out for RFQs at this time.
I don't think there's any question about the qualification of this architect's firm. We hired them to do a job. They're halfway through the job, and I'm satisfied with the work they've done. And to me, the jail has got to be one of the top priorities that we've got, because not only is it costing us money to send people to other jails, it's tying up law enforcement resources to transport these people back hundreds and hundreds of miles. So I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and approve this.
Okay, got a motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any further discussion? Sheriff, you pretty happy so far? Sheriff's reading over there.
Sure.
Molly.
Hey, I'm writing notes here.
Do you have anything to add to this?
You're asking if I know anything about them building a jail. I know that they've done several. I know that we've toured a couple of jails they've done. The only thing, and I'm not operating any of those jails or anything that's done, I just go by what he's done for the county, for Judge Parrish's office and our office. They've done a good job.
Yeah. We just wanted your comment, because it's going to be your jail.
Okay,
We're scheduled, when it gets a little further down, to go tour Midland
Yep.
and Tom Green County Jail. We're just waiting to see where we are with here before we make trips out there to go to those facilities.
Right.
The Midland one's being built right now. Tom Green was finished about 4 years ago.
we have a motion from Greg, second from David to approve. And again, any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye. Likewise, nays.
Nay.
Okay, we have a vote.
Jerry, you voting?
I vote for.
Okay.
So we have 3 ayes and 1 nay. All right, moving right along. Number 8, 9 from Ms. Harris. Kim, let's see, consider and approve the Benistar Administrative Services Agreement with an effective date of January 1st, 2025. The terms of this agreement are identical to to our current agreement, including the price and only difference from, with respect to the dates. This agreement is related to the billing and collection of insurance premiums for our under 65 retiree population.
Yes, sir. So the treasurer's office was really pleased in 2022 when the court signed up with Benestar for them to collect our under 65 insurance premiums. Very grateful for that. It freed up a lot of our time to do other things besides be premium collectors on this insurance. So this agreement is just an update to what we've been doing. It is identical in words, it's identical in price. The price is $5.75 per eligible retiree and spouse per month. And it's well worth it, in my opinion.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion from Bruce, a second from David. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you. Number 10 from Ms. Harris, consider and approve longevity payments to eligible Liberty County employees. The calculation date is December 31st, 2023, and payment will be made November 29th, 2024. This total payment is $253,020.
Yes, sir.
Pretty self-explanatory.
That's it.
What say the court?
We approve.
Second.
Motion from Greg, second from Bruce. Further discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 8 and 11, from Mr. Brown over in the Tax Assessor Collector's Office. Consider and approve overtime for voter registrar staff in connection with the upcoming early voting period of October 21st, 2024 through November 1st, 2024, and on November 5th during 2024 during the general election for the following people. Heather Green, 48 hours overtime at $29.51 per hour. That would be $1,416.48. And she is a regular employee. In other words, she does 40 hours. Mandy Morgan, 48 hours overtime at $24.81, which is $1,190.88 for 20 hours regular time. So she's a part-time worker, but she's fixing to be working overtime due to the election that's ongoing. Now, I just watched it yesterday as I walked into the voting location in Dayton and placed my identification card, which in this case is my driver license. And I watched others that came in when there was a question of whether or not they were registered to vote. Well, the employees that are working the election have a phone that they can call the voter registrar, which are these two folks. And they were verified right then and there that either they are registered to vote or not registered to vote. So there's no question. And that's about the extent of my knowledge on this. So Rick, if you would, please offer a little bit more.
Yes, Judge, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to come before the court. I'd like to first start off by giving a little bit of background on this and a little explanation, because to me, asking for overtime and extra hours that basically are not in my budget is something that needs to be explained and documented. And in reality, we're not asking for the Commissioner's Court to come up with new funds to pay for this overtime. Section 12, Election Code 12.004, paragraph C states, the registrar's office shall remain open for voter registration activities during the hours the polls are required to be open for voting on the date of any general or primary election in which a statewide office appears on the ballot or any other election held in the county on a uniform election date. So obviously the registrar's office, which I am ultimately as an elected official voter registrar since the end of March, and responsible for the voter registration process. And let me remind you, it's not a part-time job. It's not a temporary job. It is a year-round job. And ever since that day when Commissioners Court chose to dissolve the EA position for the county, and that was the end of March of 2023, and ultimately put the voter registrar position back in my office and put the election function back in county clerk's office. We have been functioning from that time as independent, and everything has been set up in my office to run the voter registration process, just like the county clerk has used the election office to run the election. And I might add that everybody was kind of in a rush when we converted from the EA back to these positions, especially we were on the verge of having the May election. So obviously we had less than 30 days to get up and running. And it was quite a task for both the county clerk, who was responsible for the election, and basically the state sent several employees to come in and do some real last minute training. And my staff and myself participated in that training. We went to the election office. We were kind of learning on the fly, being baptized by fire, and everybody was just kind of pulling everything together, trying to get ready for that May election. And I want to say that through the efforts of both the election office and the voter registrar, there was a successful election done. There was a few little hangups, but again, you would expect that to happen with that short of notice, and the election was carried off successfully. Again, that was followed, that was in May, and then right after that, the constitutional election was in November, and it was a general election. And same thing again, you're getting prepared for that. But again, my goal at that point was get ready for the November general election of 2024. Seemed like that was a long ways off, but it wasn't. And we knew with the growth that the county was sustaining, that we had to both clean up our rolls, get people updated, and get ready for which we felt was going to be a more than normal participation in the election. And we haven't been disappointed. I think even back 1st of October, we were actually processing between 60 and 80 new voter application registrations. And even to this date, we are still processing voter registration cards. Now, the state will all of a sudden drop us off a bundle of cards that came through them. And as long as they were dated October 7th, they are eligible to vote in this election, even though everybody knew October 7th was the deadline, you had to be registered. But again, the postmark and everything is what, is being recognized as the eligible deal. So it's recognized that we had a very extensive campaign. We went to other offices, we went to nursing homes, we went to just, any public deal in the month of October, trying to reach out to let people know, hey, we need to get you registered. Here's the opportunity. And we did that countywide. Again, our functions continue every day. There's processes that we do leading up to the election, and you think after October 7th, our job is over, but it's not. We continue to update. And just like the judge mentioned, we operate the same hours, just like we're required to under the 12004. We're supposed to be open, functioning, and ready to respond when the election officers or the field workers call in our number and they say, these people are not showing up in the poll pads, and we need to know if they're registered and eligible to vote. And that is our sole function at that point, to tell them yes or no, this person is registered or not. And then we say, well, are they eligible to vote? That is determined by the election office. We do not make that call. We just tell them you're simply registered. We give you the viewed number, and then the process goes on. And again, all these functions, like they are year round, are being done in our office. These two ladies serve and they do duties every day throughout the year, and it doesn't change when the election process starts. Just like the election office has their independent duties and responsibilities during the election, we have ours. That carries over in the election. While we're still inputting voter applications, we are also making decisions on the provisional ballots. And we get those daily or as they build up, because under the code, we're required to respond within 6 days after the election to show if that provisional ballot is actually valid and can be counted by the election board to for their ballot to be cast. So that's another function that we do during the election process. So clearly, we are justified in keeping our office fully operational and running through the deal. And as a result of that, we create extra hours and overtime, just like the election and poll workers do. And again, these funds are paid for by the Democrat and the Republican Party. They are paid to the county, and those funds are used in a certain sense, or they're cost of the county. I see Ms. Lee shaking her head. Again, these funds are made available to pay for workers during the election.
Mhm.
It's not election workers only. We are part of the election, but we are voter registration. And again, our function is we're required to be open. And when you work somebody more than 40 hours, we're required to pay them the overtime. We made this request to Ms. Chambers because in the last primary election, there was some discussion at the end of if these should be paid, since we did not work in the election office, but we did maintain our hours, and we reported those on the same paperwork that everyone else uses. And there was a little bit of discussion between us and HR, payroll, and Ms. Chambers. We ended up getting it resolved, and they did get their hours paid. So I was determined this year to not get in that situation again. So on October 8th, I reached out to Ms. Chambers, basically stated the number of hours that both of my employees would be working the election, and that they would be working from my office.
Out of curiosity, Rick, when the polls open at 7 a.m.,
Mhm.
they're there for 12 hours till 7 p.m.
Mhm.
What if there's a line after 7 p.m.? If you're in line, you still get to vote, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
You just have somebody go out there and say, stop.
Right.
And so nobody else can walk up, but yet poll might be open until 9.
Right.
If there's a long line.
Right.
Okay.
So what I'd like to add on to this, we just basically went assuming that there will be the regular hours that are posted. We would actually come back and make it understood that if for some reason, because we're required to be there till the last voter votes, we're to be manning our stations to be able to verify, because you may have someone come in at 7 o'clock or 7:15, they were in line and they called it, but they're still waiting, and they may need to know, are they registered or not? So we're required to stay open the same hours that the election is running. So that would be the only addition to this. If for some reason we created more hours of overtime, we would basically have to get approval for that as well. But right now, we're just going in assuming that they'll work the 9 to 6, go home, and then 7 to 7, and then they'll do the 1 to whatever on Sunday, and then 7 to 7 throughout the election day. So you asked why I bring it up to the court, because always in the past, my employees have been paid their overtime. I do not have an overtime budget. Back when I was voter registrar from August 1st of 2011, when I was appointed, to 2019, when it was actually consolidated with the election prior to getting an EA, and then ultimately went to the EA position until March of 23. I had overtime to pay my employees. It was part of the budget. When we actually moved it over to the transition in 19, and then ultimately to the EA 2020, obviously I was removed from the voter registrar position, but I had been served in that for the previous 8 years. And at that time, we did use part-time people, and I used Chapter 19 funds to actually employ people to work the election, the voter registration, to have a year-round employee. We were in the 30,000 range of voters. We didn't have the growth, obviously, back then that we're sustaining now. And I went to previous court administration asking for additional staffing for voter registrar, because I could sense the 2020 election coming. So we're going back to the 2020, and I could sense that there was going to be a lot of focus on getting the rolls up to date, making sure people registered properly. And actually, I think you and I had the meeting where we actually pitched to have the EA position, because I think we had grown to the point that we needed an EA for Liberty County, and that was finally agreed upon, and ultimately an EA was put in place. And what the EA position does, it allows the voter register staff and the election staff to work election or work voter registration, depending on where they need it. But when you have separate voter registration election, there's not an overlapping of duties. They're specifically separated by the election code. I'm responsible for voter registration, processing provisional ballots, doing the FPCAs, making sure they're entered at some point. I'm not real clear on that total function, but my ladies understand it. And ultimately registering people throughout the process. And then we notify elections, hey, these weren't in the election, and providing an updated official list of voter registrars, registered voters. And that's an ongoing process. It continues to evolve because people's registrations are getting processed even after the October 7th. Because the whole purpose of election and voter registration is to allow every eligible voter to vote in election. That's the ultimate goal. Get them registered, but make sure that we're not stopping them from voting simply because the poll book wasn't updated or something happened after. So we continue to update the official list of voters, and we continue to process voter registrations. And again, even if they don't get registered for this election, we still want them registered for future elections. So that process does not stop just because we have an election going on. Mm-hmm. So I got to go back to October 8th, when I reached out to Ms. Chambers saying, we will be operating our office as we have in the past. And these are the hours that we want approved in advance, basically so that we know we don't get into the same situation we got to in the primary. And within a few hours, we got notification back from Ms. Chambers, which I've included her correspondence in the package that I've sent to the Commissioners Court for this decision. And she clearly stated that, in her opinion, my workers should not be paid overtime out of the elections funds since they were not willing to work in the election office. And we've had this discussion several times, and I was clear in my feeling that my staff does not need to work in the election office. They are working in the voter registrar's office, which is clearly housed in the tax assessor's office. And we've been functioning that way since March of 23. And I'm telling you, my ladies, that's all they do from the time they're there to the time they leave is voter registration functions. That is their sole duty. They're under the management of my office staff. They report their hours to my office staff. They have the same policies of, hey, you report to work, this is your off for lunch. They function as a member of the tax office, but their duties are totally separated, and all they do is voter registration. They have separate phone lines. They use some of our equipment, but they also have voter registration equipment. The other thing she alluded to in her comments is, well, you could use some of your funds to pay their overtime if they're not going to work in my office. And again, I researched that with the state. I knew already the answer, but I still took the time to contact Secretary of State, attorney, and they clearly sent back that Chapter 19 funds can be used to pay for the extra time and the overtime for poll workers if your population is under 55,000. Well, clearly, Liberty County's population is over 55,000. We're not talking about paying overtime, using Chapter 19 money to pay overtime for poll workers. We're talking about actual voter registration workers. And so to me, it was clear, Chapter 19 funds, and I think the auditor's office will also verify any Chapter 19 funds that we have expended in the past has gone towards payment for reimbursement to the county for employees that worked in voter registration. And to date, we have reimbursed the county some $24,000 and have turned that over to the county auditor for reimbursement of salaries that were paid out, because Chapter 19 funds are limited to functions that aid the voter registration process. It's not for funding for elections or for any other ideas. If you have expenses like going to election seminar, you're getting training, or if your equipment that you need, and we did use some funds to buy when we set up, we got some computers, got some printers. We did use some of the Chapter 19 money for that. And then the rest is all going back to reimbursement for employees. And you can't get reimbursement till you spend the money. So the county I have to have it in my budget to spend the money, and then I get reimbursed. And obviously, like I said before, we have no funds in our budget to pay overtime, nor do I want funds to overtime if it's part of the election. And I firmly believe that it should be handled as it has in the past. We're merely a function of the election, and that our overtime and extra hours should be paid out of the same funds that the county clerk's employees and the election employees and the poll workers, whatever fund pays that overtime and those hours, my employees, this amount of $29,3810 should come out of that. I'm not asking the county to create more money. I'm asking us to get your approval so that I have clear path to get this money paid to my employees both accurately and timely. And again, the other process that has been implemented this year that's something different, we asked, well, how do we submit our forms? And we were told at that time that they're using an app. And then we were cautioned by HR. We were given a code to actually use that system to report our hours. But they said we had to use county issued phones. And we did have some Verizon phones that we've had for several years, back at the time when we could get phones issued. That's the number that's used as our portable phone on our site. We continue to use that today, including a dedicated landline. So we said, we'll go ahead and use that app, and we'll follow the process. We'll dial in. Well, when we asked the IT department to come in, they said, we can't use your Android phones. You must use the iPhones. Well, again, I do not have iPhones. Back June 30th, Commissioners Court approved the purchase of iPhones for the county clerk's office and election, whatever that was. I don't have the actual amounts, but we were not involved in getting any of those phones. So I'm asking, in addition to the court approving these funds, is to allow us to report this overtime. Even if I'm the one that needs to sign off on it, I'm willing to do that, because again, I supervise them on a daily basis and I have their hours broken down. And I've already checked with Ms. Harris to say they would accept the reporting of overtime. We do not have to go to the expense of getting an iPhone and to use this application and incur more costs to the election department. We just want to get our hours approved and paid. And so I'm sorry I had to get around all this information, but I felt like it was important to understand. I'm not asking for new funds. I'm just asking for what is, I feel like, clearly part of the code and within our ability to get paid for the hours that they are required to work. And I would open any questions.
That 293816 might change then, depending upon.
Yes, sir. That's the
Extended
only
hours.
thing that I probably should have been a little more specific on, because we can't control the hours, and we were under the same requirement, just like the election. We are required to, stay open to the last voter, and we have an arrangement that we will be notified by each polling location verifying, okay, the last voter has voted, you may shut down your operation. So if it creates more time, that would only grow, and I ask that the court would allow that adjustment in addition to these funds, since you're not really, it's more or less you are authorizing a distribution of the funds, not creating the funds.
Okay. All right. Any discussion, questions? Anybody? Dwayne, everything looked good as far as the funding sources?
Only question, is who's got authority over that fund. I've never looked that question up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
May I make one correction?
in
The-
the past, it's always been the county clerk's office.
Right.
I really don't know. I can't sit here and, I just don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if the Commissioners Court has authority to distribute. I don't know if it's solely on the county clerk. I just don't know the answer to that question right now.
Okay.
There is a fund of money. It's in an 027 general ledger account that begins with 027 that is normally used for our contract election funds. Those are contracts we do with cities, schools, and the parties. When we conduct elections for them, we take money out of that to pay for them. And when they reimburse us, the money goes back in there. The Republican and Democratic parties only pay for a certain election day funds during the primary only. This general election is being paid for fully by county funds. There's no special funds for it. When we split the office up at the time, at the elections office across the street, voter registration and all the election workers were in one location. They work together to do the elections, and it's kind of necessary because what happens is when somebody calls in and they want to check voter registration and they say, yes, they are or are not a registered voter, it doesn't stop there. If they're not in the poll pads, the poll pads have to be updated. They're supposed to send us regular updates for the poll pads, et cetera, et cetera. We're not getting that. We're not getting that communication. The only way to get that communication is if they're in the office working with us at the time as a team. When we split the office up in Jay's office, right over there, I expressed to Mr. Brown my concern that he wanted to move these workers out of the elections office. I agreed to it with the, condition that they come to our office and work the elections. They did that for one election last year. They did it for the primary election day this year, and it was very helpful. But they haven't been doing it since then, and they refused to do it for this election. That creates more time to check out voters. It creates confusion and errors in our voter system. It's just a mess. They need to be working with us, but they blatantly confused. They've refused to do that. They haven't honored the condition that we put on this from the get-go. Those phones were given to us. We did not buy them. And we're doing this to try to make it a faster, easier way to manage, because we're managing 100 people in addition to his two, which we have no say-so, no controller. We don't know when they're working, if they're working. Half the time we can't get them on the phone. So if Mr. Brown wants to run it over there the way he's running it, then that's fine, but he needs to pay for it. To make us pay for it out of our funds, which we need to pay other workers, it's just not right. And that would be the equivalent of Greg saying, Commissioner Arthur saying to Commissioner Karbowski, my guys are going to work on the roads and you don't have any say so where or when or how they work, but we want you to pay for it. And that's just how our county offices are set up. It doesn't work that way. And I have an exception to that. So anyway, however you want to give them the funds, I don't care, but I am not in a position to okay workers that I have no knowledge of when and how they're working. If Mr. Brown's going to be the supervisor of that and control that, then he needs to be the one, you know, taking care of their pay. And that's my position on the situation.
Yes, could I guess, respond to that? Obviously, there's been no issue in paying this overtime and extra hours in the last 3 elections that we participated in. And yes, we tried working in the election office twice. We were not allowed to answer the phones. And the second time, you'll have computers, you'll have everything set up. We went on election day, and actually we were not able to access our information. We basically sat around twiddling our thumbs, not participating. And secondly,
incorrect.
This is not my opinion. Yeah, I think I do have the floor. I didn't interfere with her when she was talking. And again, obviously, this is a little dispute that we have. This was magnified on August 6th when Ms. Chambers went before a Senate hearing in San Antonio. And I invite each of you to listen to that. I actually have the clip and would be glad to share it. But she clearly mentioned that the problems that she was having as an election official was attributed to the voter registrar. Very clearly pointed out some misinformation. And again, so there's a conflict, you know, and again, this conflict has boiled over now to the point that she feels like she can control the payment. She said, I will pay your people if they'll come work in the election office. I have the support of the tax code, the election code that says the voter registrar's office shall be open during the same hours that the election. It does not say anywhere in the code that we are to go work in the election office. Again, we tried that, but we work year round in the voter registrar's office, even though it's in the tax office, but it's a total separate function. They're functioning today. They've been functioning since the end of March. And there's no reason for us to interrupt and go into the election office. And quite honestly, I do not want my staff working in the election. They're not part of the election. They have a defined role to be verifying voter registration, processing provisional ballots, and answering questions. And just like you commented, Judge, we are functioning as we speak. We are entertaining calls from the election sites and clearly doing our job housed in the office that we are in, where we have all our computers, we have all our information, we document every call we get, and we do not try to influence what they do beyond if it's registered. We refer them back to the election office. And clearly, people are not supposed to be calling the election office for questions unless it's the voting process or something to do with voter equipment. They are required to call voter registration only to verify if that voter is registered. They don't call the election office to find out if, so she's saying if there's confusion, the confusion would be you're calling the election office. It's clearly documented. They call the voter registration, and we have the calls to verify. We have the documentation, and we entertained several dozen calls yesterday, clearly answering that. We also had people calling us saying, well, when does early voting start? What are the hours? And again, these are just general questions, but we're a source for that as well as the election. But clearly, if it's anything to do with the election itself, we refer them to the election office. We do not physically need to be in the election office. In fact, that hampers our job. And I have clear functions and responsibilities that I'm supposed to be doing. And none of those include working in the election office.
Okay.
Well, I was just going to point out, I believe we're getting a little outside the scope of the agenda items.
Yeah.
I'd like to bring our focus back to whether or
Turn the
not,
mic back on, please.
we can
Rick, can you turn the mic on, please?
I just want to, as I mentioned, I think we're getting outside the scope of the original agenda item, so I'd like to bring it back to the overtime pay for the voter registrars.
Well, it's interesting discussion because it is two factions that voter
Yeah.
registrar versus elections office.
Yeah, we can get into all, we've got it, you're absolutely right, I appreciate your input there, because we got way off track here. It looks like.
Well, the whole idea is it's county money,
Yes.
period.
It's county money,
Yeah.
and I don't think there's any question, the girls, the people need to be paid overtime, they're required to work as, and be open,
That's right.
and, is there any problem with paying overtime? Legal problems or anyone?
No, I believe Dwayne's question is valid. However, in regards to who has control over the account that it's coming from, and that's something that I cannot answer at this very moment.
I would just like to say this amount that he's requesting. I mean, either way, I could fund this from other sources. I mean, we've got, this is the beginning of the budget year, and either way, y'all guys can go ahead. If he needs to do that, we'll pay for this. If it can't come out of that, he can come out of somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, it's not 3 million, it's 3,000.
Yeah, it's $3,000.
Okay.
And again, I apologize for getting off the subject. I just felt like we've had this little bit of a thing working.
Well, no, some clarification between the two departments is necessary at times,
Yes.
I think. And I think there's good clarification there.
I don't think we still got anything cleared up.
Well,
We don't.
Well, we're not gonna clear all that other stuff here. What we need to do is address this agenda item and get this taken care
Make a
of.
motion to approve the overtime.
thank you.
Okay. I second the motion.
Got a motion and a second to approve the overtime. Is there any further discussion?
And we need to definitely, in the future, work on it.
Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Hold on.
Always like to clarify. The agenda item appears as though the time is payable at the moment. It's payable in the future as earned. Just for that clarification.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion and a second. No more discussion. Call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Dwayne and Catherine. Thank you. Thank you.
I need to get that on.
Okay. Number 812 from Ms. Soliday. Melinda, if you would, come on up. Consider and approve invoice number 12901.00 dated 7/10/24 in the amount of $8,450 for the Ames Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project. Services from Schomburg and Polk Incorporated using ARPA funds. Mayor Domain has signed off on the invoice. That's pretty explanatory there.
Yes, sir. This, for some reason, was overlooked when I brought them to Commissioner's Court at the last
Yes,
meeting.
ma'am. Yeah.
And it's been caught and just need to get it taken care of.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion from Bruce, second from David. Any further discussion?
We just about finished that.
Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Number 813. From Emergency Management, consider and approve paying the following invoices to Crowder Gulf LLC. Invoice number lib 0831241, $177,322.22. Invoice number lib 083-124-02 for $57,731.89. Invoice number lib 090-924-06 for $19,017.28. Invoice number lib 090-924.07 for $11,338.38. Invoice number lib 090-924-04 for $28,324.27. And lib 090924-05 for for $9,287.25. It's like the total was $303,039.29. FEMA reimburses us for 75% of the total. So it looks like our outstanding liability in that case, Dwayne, is around $75,759.82 roughly.
Yes.
Okay.
So
So
you said-
FEMA's gonna pay $227,279.47 of this bill.
We'll have to move some money around in last year's budget.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Are you comfortable with these invoices? No problem.
Okay, this is for Hurricane Beryl.
Yeah.
Beryl. I don't know. Beryl. Yeah, okay.
Move, we approve.
Got a motion from Greg. Got a second anywhere?
Second.
Second from David. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor, say aye. Likewise, nays. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 814 from our tax attorney, Linebarger. Consider to approve the following private resale bids. Number one is L Lane, bid number 25770 for $33,000. And number two, W McIlvain, bid number 10672 for $20,000. Bruce, these seem to be going up.
Yeah, they are
Yeah.
going up considerably. This one, we're getting almost 100% on the first one. The second one is 48%, I believe it was.
Mhm.
And both of them look good. I do want to ask Linebarger, these people that bid on these things, sometimes they bid on them sight unseen. If they do not pay, do we let them bid again?
We normally actually have to speak with them about that, and we may not let them bid again if they do not pay. But again, I think we can possibly request payment ahead of time.
Yeah, because there's been several times that we've
Yes.
approved these and the person just goes out and looks at it, oh, no, I don't want this, and it goes back before us.
We usually speak to them if there's any circumstances, obviously reasoning why they want it, and then make a determination, but, yes, we normally wouldn't want to let them bid again if they behave in that manner, they can bid and then not.
Make a motion to approve both of them?
Second.
Motion from Bruce, second from Greg to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You know what I'm talking about.
Those some ayes
Aye.
down there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise, nays. That motion does carry. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 815 from Mr. Chambers. Consider to approve the assistance of county employees and county vehicles, including but not limited to the sheriff's deputies and the road and bridge employees, to deliver and pick up election equipment and ballots for the November 5th, 2024 election, along with the procedure for payment of these employees through the specified county election funds in the budget of the Liberty County Clerk's Election Department. Pretty self-explanatory.
Yes, sir. The
Yeah.
people that are going to help us get this all deployed and the necessary sheriff's officers, which we have to bring the ballots in, they will be working on election time. So those days when they're doing that and the times when they'll do that, we will pay into the payroll money to cover that time. And I think we discussed, right, paying mileage for the equipment that they use. As
Road
well?
Bridge, yeah, we're gonna have to reimburse the road
Okay.
bridge employees of equipment use. We're gonna have to reimburse the road and bridge fund for the wages and the mileage on the trucks.
In the equipment. So this is just to put it out there that we are paying for that service and that we will pay that part when they do assist us to get this enormous election done for their time and services
This
and the
is a big
equipment
one.
that we use.
Yes. Okay.
Move to approve.
Motion from Greg,
Second.
second from Bruce. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor, say aye. Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 16, 816. Consider, approve, and allow the new hire in the county clerk's office to begin work and be put on the payroll before the next orientation class scheduled November 6, 2024. That's
yeah, we're real shorthanded. We had an employee move up, take off and move to Alaska. God bless her. And so we have an employee that we're real excited about. She's a bilingual. We'll have her in the criminal department, but we really need her to start now and not 3 weeks from now. So she has already been through her testing and everything. She just won't be able to do her orientation until they have another session. So, but we'd like her to start right away.
Kim, you have any comments?
So clearly, the reason this is on Commissioner's Court is because it is definitely an exception to our normal process. You know, for liability reasons and documentation reasons and so forth. We have a step-by-step process when we hire folks.
Yeah, this is a timeliness event anyway. So, I mean, you know, we've had some that have come in on their own time and taken orientation before they actually started.
Right. We used to do orientation on the fly.
Yeah.
And that takes up an incredible amount of time and is incredibly inefficient for my office. So we now have a schedule that we hold classes for. So Ms. Chambers is requesting the court grant an exception to our policy on this and a procedure on this. And it's just the will of the court whether you choose to do it or not. But it definitely needs to be documented that it is an exception. We don't like to allow that. Our office is very busy in October with the new payroll, or October 15th payroll with the new budget. We also have, as I can announce, the insurance meetings tomorrow and Thursday. So we're busy with that too. So there's not an orientation class this week for that reason. So that it's a decision of the court to make the exception.
Okay. Catherine, you have anything you want to add in here? Or?
I support Sarah's statement in the sense that this is at the will of the court. But it is good to document it on the record that this is the exception.
So you mentioned liability, the liability of not knowing procedures before they're hired.
That's a possibility.
And because I've had road hands have to sit and wait while I was in a bind also. And because of the orientation class schedule.
And Kim, you have new employees sign documents that say that they have completed orientation and that they are aware and have personal knowledge of county policies, correct? We do. And so that's the liability that she's talking about. Without that document stating, you know, I, Catherine McCarty, have reviewed and gone over all the policies. I'm aware that's extra coverage for Liberty County, right? In the event that they violate a policy.
Right. And we're happy, you know, we're not steadfast, not gonna hold a class, you know, to inconvenience anyone. But like I said, October is very busy for my staff.
Yeah.
And so that presents part of the problem for Ms. Chambers right now.
Well, we decided on her hiring last week, but you know, there was another class for 3 weeks and we really need her in there right now. I don't think she's gonna be a problem. She's under oath. We swear her in, she's deputized. We can go over the handbook with her if that helps at all. But it's hard on the employee to have to wait that long to start a new job. And it's hard on us because we need that employee in that office. We are exceptionally busy too. And we have a lot going on in the criminal department right now. So we really need that employee. I don't think this is any kind of major liability or I wouldn't be asking. I think she's gonna be fine. So I'm asking you to please let her go ahead and start today. She's ready to begin and then she will do her orientation on the next available date that the Treasurer's Office has available.
And I normally would be hesitant about this, but I know what kind of situation the clerk's office is now with this election going on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a motion that we approve this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Second.
Motion from Greg, second from David to approve. Any further discussion?
If I may,
Yes, ma'am.
ask that you amend the motion with the word exception.
Include what?
The word exception, that this is an exception to the policy.
Oh, okay, yes. Well, the question.
You got that, Lee?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion from Greg, second from David to approve the exception to the policy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 817 for Mr. Brown over in Tax Assessor Collector's Office. And consider and approve payment in the amount of $231,147, which represents a 60% reimbursement of 2023 ad valorem property taxes collected by Liberty County for TERS number 1. That's in the Grand Oaks development up in Cleveland. And we approved this TERS number 1 several years back.
Yes, actually, 2017 was the first year that established the base tax value.
Right.
And this is something we do every year. The auditor department has asked me to certify that, first of all, we have to collect the money before we can reimburse. We don't ever want to reimburse something we haven't collected. So we have a very detailed process this time of year. We also process in this time of year because we use it in the truth and taxation calculations and determine everybody's rate. So this is a good time to kind of have a wrap up and produce that. Right. So just in recapping, initially the base tax value of that property was in 2017 was $3,733,000. The 2023 certified tax value, according to the Liberty County CAD, $83,756,000. So obviously that means that there's growth.
Yeah.
And the projection for 2024 is 101 million. So it's growing, it's developing. And the commitment by Liberty County is a 25-year commitment with a maximum of $25 million, whichever comes first.
Right.
So obviously, this is something that's a long-term thing that's been agreed to. And obviously, it wouldn't have happened unless the county would have agreed to participate along with the city of Cleveland. They're the one that actually originated the TERS,
right.
And they asked for participation by the county. So again, that's a little backdrop, but what I plan on doing and have available is to actually put the schedule in place for future tax assessors to see that this is I don't think I'm going to be working for another 25 years. So I want to make sure that
come on, Rick.
It carries on. Judge, I'm sorry. I believe in service, but it gets to a point where I may have to slow down a little bit. So we're going to actually show a recap of what we paid and how much we still have to do. So I think that would serve, since now we are participating as tax assessor. I'm on my 4th TERS right now. So again, for City of Dayton, I'm having to do some stuff. So they're starting to crowd in. It seems to be a popular way of getting some of these developments done. But anyway, back to this one. And back in August, for budgeting purposes, we've actually anticipated what this amount would be, sent that information to the auditor's office. But again, sometimes we don't collect everything. Sometimes the values, sometimes the what's the word? The exemptions come in, protests, different things that change the values. And in this case, we certify. So when you calculate the tax rate for last year of 47 cents, based on the 60% reimbursement, we had the 60% going to the TERS is 231,147, which is the amount that I'm certifying that we need to pay the TERS. And that yields to Liberty County 40% or $154,098. Now, just to serve memory, back when this place was before the TERS, it was basically a piece of cut over timber hunting land that had timber exemptions on it.
A duck lease.
That was basically yielding nothing to the county or the city compared to but with this growth and with this building, and it's given, quite honestly, a nice option for people to live in Cleveland. They've developed a nice country club. I think they spent $9 million on that.
Nice.
They have a golf course out there. So it's taken a little time to take off, but it looked like I'm sure Commissioner Whitmire was certified that they're steadily building and growing.
Yes.
And again, our commitment is there up until the 25 million is satisfied.
Right.
So, again, the projection for next year based on 24 certified values, the participation will be 274,987, but we're not asking to approve that now. That's just set up in next year's budget if all goes as planned.
Just
So
231, 147.
231, 147 is what was both projected and actually happened. And you can see there's around $8,005 of unpaid taxes. So we don't reimburse something that was not paid.
Right.
So our audit of all these came up with that's how much was collected.
Thank you.
So I recommend that process.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion from Bruce, second from Greg to approve. Further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye. Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 818 from Sheriff Rader. Consider and approve adding 3 copiers for the jail to the Platinum Copier contract.
Yes, sir. The 3 that are over there are the old contract with Minolta. They had ordered some parts and stuff and were advised that we're not under there. And this is just to get us up to date with the rest of the county.
Yes, sir.
One for booking, one for medical, and one for admin.
Have y'all notified Platinum Copiers about this yet, or?
Yes.
There you are. Thank you, Nick.
I'm here, yeah.
All right.
Everything's in order, so we're just getting off the old lease, that's done. We don't need to spend any more money on it for them to come out and service those units, so we're just gonna put them under the master contract. Have it under one roof.
Okay.
That's it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, a motion to approve.
Second.
That, Bruce, was that you?
Yeah.
Second from David. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Number 19 from Mr. God over in the county auditor's office. Consider and approve a $500 donation to the DARE program from the Community Coalition J Region Foundation. Man, they couldn't come up with 500,000 or something like that.
Just, Commissioner's Court has to approve all that.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion from David, second from Greg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 820 from Mr. C. Consider and approve the purchase of a 2024 Chevrolet Silverado with additional equipment and the amount of $59,431 from Parkway Chevrolet through buy board contract 72423 and 69823 for the sheriff's office.
New budget, let the spending begin.
Say that carefully because Dwayne just left, okay?
Make a
What say the
motion to
court?
approve.
Got a motion from David,
Second.
got a double second from Bruce and Greg, but I'm just gonna pick one. We'll get
Yeah,
Bruce on
yeah,
that.
all over.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Okay, Mr. C, we got number 821, consider approve the purchase of a 2024 Chevrolet Tahoe PPV. What does PPV mean? Nobody? Sure. You know what PPV means?
Package is, I think. Police package. Passenger vehicle.
Okay. With additional equipment in the amount of $58,278.25 from Parkway Chevrolet through Sheriff's Association of Texas contract 2203-1008 and buy board contract 69823 from Parkway Chevrolet for the Sheriff's Department. Pretty self-explanatory.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion from David,
Okay.
second from Greg. Further discussion. Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Number 822 from Mr. C. Consider and approve the, boy, you ain't kidding, let the spending begin.
It's
Consider-
well needed.
Oh, that's just for precinct 3. We-
Right.
okay. Consider and approve the purchase of a new 2022. How'd you find a 2022?
Yeah, they had it on their lot. It's-
Ford F-350 with a dump body in the amount of $51,625 from Rockdale Country Ford through the buy board contract 72423 for precinct 3.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion from Bruce, second from Greg. Further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Let's see, Mr. C, we got number 823, consider and approve the recommendation to award invitation to bid number 2416 for road materials.
Okay, since y'all just got these this morning, they won't go into effect until November 8th. And we put it on here because the next commissioner's court is November 12th. But Friday, the 8th, the 8th is a Friday, the 11th is a Veterans Day holiday. So if you want to study these, we can actually do it the 12th. You just can't buy anything from 8th to the 12th. But we have them marked, whoever the low bidders are on each one. If y'all are satisfied, you can go ahead and approve them. They'll go into effect November 8th, or if you want to study them, we can put them on those.
So then we'll put on the right base. That right base.
So Vulcan's in there, Harold? Vulcan, we're gonna get Vulcan. Did they bid?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're normal bidders, they probably.
They did.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're the only one that buys the right base.
Yeah. So far, we put it on here every year, and Arcosa has it for pretty cheap. And I kind of keep up with it because they usually won't bid for some reason, but I keep up with it during the year, and we've never in years gone over 50,000 on that or oversized gravel. So probably it really doesn't have to be bid. But if we ever get close to 50, and Greg knows this, that we would bid it out at that time.
Yeah.
So it's not really that big of a concern, because like I say, they usually around 40 or 30, up to 40,000.
Nobody bid on it though?
Well,
Last year we had somebody bid on it, but their bid was like $60 a ton, and I think our price was $17.
$17. Yeah, we'd buy.
Just bought it ourselves.
Yeah, we talked about that the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, but since it doesn't go over 50 product, you can go pay.
What say the court?
Make a motion to approve. Everything looks pretty good, really.
To the low bidders as noted in the
Yes.
attachment, okay.
Motion from Bruce to hear a second.
Second.
Second from Greg. Further discussion. Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 824 from Mr. C, consider and approve soliciting proposals for AC duct service for the courthouse. We're going to clean the duct work out.
This is above the 75th. There's
Yeah.
evidently a leak in the ductwork, and it's messing up the tile.
It is. Yeah.
So maintenance asked me to put this on here. We've had two vendors look at it. One gave a quote. It's over 50,000. The other one hadn't given a quote yet, but they kind of act like it's going to be more than the other quote was. So we decided we need to go out for bids for it. So one, we need to make sure we have the money budgeted to pay for it. It's going to be over 50,000. The other thing is, I got with maintenance to try to come up with some specs, which I think is going to be impossible. So if y'all decide to do this, we'll do a pre-bid conference and everybody has to show up same day. They can go up and look at it. Good luck.
Yeah.
Get to it, they can go up and look at it, and then we could have questions.
Yeah, I think the big deal is there is the old ductwork is a square type metal, and they're thinking that they can replace it with the newer style round ductwork that'd be a whole lot cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
Some of those higher bids was to replace it with what's already up there.
Right.
Yeah. So it's up to you. If you want to go ahead and go out for bids, we will, we'll set that up and have the pre-bid conference advertised and go from there.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Greg, second from David to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries.
Thank you, Harold.
Thank you, sir. Number 825, Mr. Poston, Ms. McCarty over the county attorney's office. Consider and approve notice of interest in the exchange of real property to be published in a newspaper of general circulation to appear once a week for at least 3 consecutive weeks regarding the exchange of property for 1801 Trinity Avenue, Liberty, Texas, 77575. Pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 263.006B. Kathy, you have anything you want to add to that?
Certainly. So Texas Local Government Code allows for the county to engage in exchanging property that it owns for property of the same appraised value, or maybe property that might appraise at a lesser value and a cash payment. But there are particular rules that govern that exchange of property. And to do so, we've got to put it out there to the public that we would be accepting offers for an exchange of this particular piece of property.
Right.
Make
Okay.
a motion to approve.
Motion from Bruce, second from Greg to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye. Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 26, saving the last few, Lee. Okay.
Oh, good.
Consider and approve the purchase of additional shelving for the permanent book collection in the county clerk's office. 2 proposals are included in the packet. The shelving will be paid for with Liberty County Clerk Records Management Funds. Glad you got that.
One of the downsides of our restoration project with the old books is they come back, we can send out 1 big book, and because they put it in special sleeves and everything, it comes back as 2.
Yeah.
So we have run out of shelving, and there's not a lot of space in there. So we had 2 vendors come in. We all agreed on where we could put, like a top shelf here, a top shelf there. We're going to put some over in the area where we work, where the filing cabinets are. So we're using every possible little space we've got to try to add more book space. This will give us, I think, 200 something more book slots, which will go a long way to helping us shelve the new books that we're restoring. I went ahead and got 2 vendors to give me bids. They're pretty close. They didn't go over 50, so we don't have to bid them. But I'm kind of leaving it to you, which one you think we ought to go with. The higher one is the one that has provided shelves in the past. You can see those in my office. The other one is a reputable vendor that I think will do fine. So it's whichever way you want to go. But I think we do. Yeah. Well, they're going to be. They're similar. I think I have pictures of the. They're going to be black. I think they're going to look fine either way we go.
That choice is going to have to come from you. Which one you want? Which one you need? Which one will better serve you and not Commissioner's Court? Because I have no idea about shelving.
Right. We've worked, like I said, we've worked with the higher vendor. The other vendor came in and gave us a lower price, but my understanding is they're both equally reputable. Of course, you know me, I don't like to spend a dime I don't have to, so I would say go with the low bidder, but it's y'all's call. We just want to try to get as much shelving in there as we can while we can, and I believe we have the funds in records management, Dwayne. So yeah, this is what that funding is really for, is to keep those old books. So we're going to move it. I worry about the weight on the floor because we got a lot of heavy books in there, but I think the building can handle it. And I think this is a good plan for the office going forward. So I just need you to approve it.
Which one you recommend?
I would say let's go with the low bidder. I don't remember which one that they both have South in the name, but the low bidder was like 36. One was 36, one was 38. Yeah.
We go with the low bidder.
Okay.
What's your recommendation?
That works great.
Motion from Greg, second from Bruce to go with a low bid. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. The next.
Second.
I already had it written down. Motion to adjourn. All in favor say aye.